First contact on Europa. Dr. Samantha Chen squinted through the thick, reinforced glass of the submersible, her eyes straining to pierce the inky darkness of Europa's subsurface ocean. The cramped vessel hummed softly around her, its exterior lights casting eerie blue-green shadows across the alien seascape. After years of preparation and months of careful exploration, the Europa Subsurface Exploration Team, ESET, was on the verge of a breakthrough. "Anything on the sensors, Dr. Patel?" Samantha asked, her voice taut with anticipation. Dr. Rajiv Patel, the team's xenobiologist, shook his head, his eyes glued to a bank of monitors. "Nothing yet, Sam. But if your theory is correct, we should be approaching the thermal vent any minute now." The theory in question was Samantha's life's work, the idea that Europa's subsurface ocean, warmed by tidal forces and protected from Jupiter's intense radiation by a thick ice shell, could harbor complex life forms. It was a hypothesis that had driven her from the halls of academia to this tiny submersible, prowling the depths of an alien sea. Captain Miguel Ortiz, a veteran of deep-sea exploration on Earth, maneuvered the craft with practiced ease. "Approaching coordinates now, doctors. Prepare for..." His words were cut short as the submersible suddenly lurched, tossed by an unexpected current. Warning lights flashed across the control panel as Miguel fought to stabilize the craft. "What the hell was that?" Samantha gasped, gripping her seat. Before anyone could respond, a massive shape glided past the viewport, momentarily blocking out their lights. Samantha's heart leaped into her throat as she caught a glimpse of sleek, bioluminescent skin and what looked like tentacles. "Tell me someone else saw that," Rajiv whispered, his voice trembling. Miguel nodded grimly. "Oh, I saw it all right. And our sensors are going haywire. Whatever that thing is, it's big. And it's not alone." As if on cue, more shapes began to materialize out of the darkness. They moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost impossible for their size, their bodies pulsing with soft, otherworldly light. "My God," Samantha breathed. "We were right. There's life here. Complex, intelligent life." The creatures, for lack of a better term, seemed to be gathering around the submersible, their curiosity evident in the way they circled and prodded at the unfamiliar object in their realm. Samantha's scientific mind raced, cataloging details even as her human heart pounded with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Suddenly, one of the creatures let out a haunting cry that reverberated through the water and the hull of their craft. The sound was unlike anything Samantha had ever heard, part whale song, part crystalline chime. To her astonishment, the other creatures responded, creating a symphony of alien music that left the human explorers in awe. "They're communicating," Rajiv said, his earlier fear replaced by wonder. This changes everything, Sam." Samantha nodded, unable to tear her eyes away from the viewport. "We need to establish contact somehow. Miguel, can we use the external speakers to..." Her words were cut short as one of the creatures suddenly broke away from the group, streaking towards the surface with alarming speed. The others followed, their bioluminescence fading as they ascended. "What's happening?" Miguel asked, his hands hovering over the controls. Samantha frowned. "I'm not sure, but we should follow them carefully." As Miguel guided the submersible upwards, the team's excitement gave way to confusion and then alarm. The creatures were gathering near the underside of Europa's ice shell, their movements becoming increasingly frantic. "Something's wrong," Rajiv muttered, studying the readings on his monitor. "The ice. It's unstable in this area. Micro fissures forming. If they keep agitating it like that..." A loud crack echoed through the water, and chunks of ice began to rain down from above. The creatures scattered, but one of them wasn't fast enough. A massive sheet of ice struck it, sending it tumbling downwards, clearly stunned or injured. Without thinking, Samantha shouted, "Miguel, intercept it. We can't let it die." The captain hesitated for only a moment before springing into action. He maneuvered the submersible beneath the falling creature, using the craft's manipulator arms to gently cradle it. "I've got it," Miguel announced, his voice strained. "But this thing is heavy. We need to set it down somewhere safe." Samantha scanned the seafloor below, spotting a relatively flat area near a cluster of thermal vents. "There. Take us down, but slowly." As they descended, the injured creature stirred in the submersible's grasp. Its bioluminescence flickered weakly, and Samantha could see what looked like a deep gash along its side. "It's hurt," she said, her voice thick with concern. "Rajiv, is there anything we can do?" The xenobiologist shook his head. "I wouldn't even know where to begin, Sam. Its biology is completely alien to us." As they neared the seafloor, the other creatures reappeared, flanking the submersible. Their earlier curiosity had been replaced by what Samantha could only interpret as concern for their injured companion. Miguel gently set the creature down on the ocean floor. As soon as the manipulator arms retreated, the others swarmed around it, emitting a cacophony of those haunting cries. "Look," Rajiv exclaimed, pointing at the monitors. "Their bioluminescence, it's changing. The patterns are shifting." Samantha watched in amazement as the uninjured creatures formed a circle around their fallen comrade. Their bodies began to pulse with an intense, rhythmic light that seemed to flow from one to another. As the humans looked on, the injured creature's own bioluminescence strengthened, and the gash on its side began to close. "They're healing it," Samantha whispered. "Collectively. This is incredible." For several minutes, the team watched in silent awe as the alien healing ritual continued. Finally, the injured creature rose, its movements once again fluid and graceful. It turned towards the submersible, and Samantha felt a chill run down her spine as she realized it was looking directly at her through the viewport. The creature extended what looked like a tentacle, gently tapping against the glass. A series of complex bioluminescent patterns rippled across its skin, and Samantha had the distinct impression it was trying to communicate. "What do we do?" Miguel asked, his voice hushed. Samantha took a deep breath, steeling herself. "We respond." "Miguel, can you extend one of the manipulator arms?" Slowly. The captain nodded, carefully maneuvering one of the submersible's robotic limbs towards the creature. To everyone's surprise, the alien reached out and grasped it, its tentacle wrapping around the mechanical arm with surprising gentleness. A jolt of energy suddenly coursed through the submersible, causing the lights to flicker and the monitors to momentarily go dark. When they came back online, a series of complex mathematical equations and diagrams began scrolling across the screens. "What the hell?" Rajiv muttered, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "This isn't coming from our systems. It's them. They're feeding us information." Samantha leaned in, her eyes widening as she recognized some of the patterns. "These are star charts, galactic coordinates, and this." She pointed to a series of interlocking circles and lines. "I think this is a map of their civilization." The implications hit her like a physical blow. These weren't just animals they'd encountered. This was a technologically advanced, space-faring species that had been living beneath the ice of Europa for who knows how long. As the stream of information continued to flow, Samantha realized that humanity's place in the universe had just been irrevocably altered. They had not only discovered alien life but made first contact with a civilization that could reshape their understanding of science, technology, and their very place in the cosmos. The creature released the manipulator arm and backed away, rejoining its companions. As a group, they began to move off into the darkness, but not before turning back towards the submersible one last time. Their bioluminescence pulsed in a pattern that Samantha somehow knew was an invitation. "They want us to follow them," she said, her voice filled with determination. "Miguel, are we ready for a journey?" The captain grinned, his earlier trepidation replaced by a spark of adventure. "Always, Doctor." "Where to?" Samantha looked at her teammates, seeing her own mix of fear and excitement mirrored in their eyes. "Into the unknown," she replied. "And into history." As the submersible began to move, following the graceful forms of their new alien acquaintances, Samantha Chen knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Humanity had taken its first real step into a larger universe, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead them. Journey to the Hidden City. The Europa Subsurface Exploration Team's submersible glided through the alien ocean, following the bioluminescent trail left by their newfound extraterrestrial companions. Dr. Samantha Chen's heart raced with a mixture of scientific excitement and primal fear as they ventured further from their planned expedition route. "How are we looking on life support, Miguel?" she asked, her eyes never leaving the viewport. Captain Miguel Ortiz consulted his instruments. "We're good for another 72 hours, Doc. But our comms with the surface station cut out about 20 minutes ago. We're on our own down here." Dr. Rajiv Patel, the team's xenobiologist, looked up from his monitors. "Sam, these readings, I've never seen anything like it. The water composition is changing. There are trace elements here that shouldn't exist naturally." Samantha nodded, her mind racing. "They're terraforming the ocean, or rather, Europaforming it. The question is, how long have they been at it?" Their musings were interrupted as the alien creatures ahead of them suddenly picked up speed. The submersible's engines whined as Miguel pushed them to keep up. "We're approaching some kind of structure," he announced, gesturing towards the sonar display. As they rounded a massive ice formation, the team gasped in unison. Looming before them was a city. There was no other word for it. Massive, organic-looking structures rose from the ocean floor, their surfaces pulsing with the same bioluminescence as their alien guides. Streams of bubbles and swirling currents flowed between the buildings, carrying what looked like vehicles, or perhaps the aliens themselves. "My God," Rajiv whispered. "It's beautiful." Samantha couldn't help but agree. The alien city was a marvel of bioengineering, seamlessly blending with its aquatic environment. As they drew closer, she could see intricate patterns etched into the surfaces of the structures, reminiscent of the mathematical equations they'd been shown earlier. Their guides led them towards what appeared to be an entry port, a large, circular opening in one of the central structures. As they approached, Samantha felt a moment of panic. "Miguel, are you sure we can fit?" she asked, eyeing the seemingly too small opening. The captain's hands were steady on the controls. "It'll be tight, but we should make it. Assuming they want us to enter, that is." As if in response to his words, the opening began to expand, unfurling like the petals of an enormous flower. The submersible slipped inside, and Samantha felt a subtle shift in pressure as they entered what appeared to be some kind of airlock. Water drained away around them, leaving the submersible resting in a cradle-like structure. Through the viewport, Samantha could see a large chamber beyond, filled with a misty atmosphere that their instruments indicated was breathable. Barely. "Well," Miguel said, his voice tense, "I guess this is where we suit up and say hello." The team donned their protective suits, designed for the harsh Europan surface, but now serving a very different purpose. With helmets secured and weapons holstered, a precaution none of them wanted to need, they cycled through the submersible's airlock. Samantha's first step onto the alien floor sent a shiver through her body. It was slightly springy, almost organic in texture. The air, while breathable, had a strange metallic taste that made her glad for the suit's filtration system. "Stay close," she instructed her team. "And remember, we're guests here. Let's not do anything to." Her words cut off as a section of the wall rippled and parted. 3 of the alien creatures glided into the room, their bodies adapting seamlessly to the air-filled environment. Up close, Samantha could see that what they had taken for tentacles were actually multiple limbs, capable of fine manipulation. The aliens' bodies pulsed with complex bioluminescent patterns, and she had the distinct impression they were communicating. Rajiv fumbled with a handheld device. "I'm recording everything," he said, his voice filled with barely contained excitement. "The bioluminescent patterns, they're not random. There's a structure to them, almost like a language." Samantha finished. She took a tentative step forward, raising her hands in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "Hello," she said, feeling somewhat foolish. "We come in peace." The central alien extended a limb, gently touching the faceplate of Samantha's helmet. A jolt of energy passed through her suit's systems, and suddenly, her helmet's heads-up display came to life with cascading symbols and images. "They're interfacing with our tech," Miguel said, a note of alarm in his voice. Samantha held up a hand to calm him. "It's okay. I think they're trying to communicate." The stream of information slowed, coalescing into recognizable patterns. To her amazement, Samantha realized she was looking at a simplified diagram of the solar system, with Earth and Europa clearly highlighted. "They know who we are," she breathed, "and where we come from." The alien retracted its limb, and the largest of the three moved forward. Its skin rippled with a complex series of patterns, and to Samantha's shock, she heard a voice in her helmet. Not in any human language, but in concepts and impressions that her mind struggled to interpret. "Welcome, explorers, from the warm world," the voice said, each word feeling strange and alien in her mind. "Long have we waited for this meeting." Samantha's scientific training warred with her sense of wonder. This was unprecedented: alien contact, communication, an entire civilization hidden beneath the ice of Europa. Every moment, every observation, was rewriting humanity's understanding of their place in the universe. We're honored," she managed to reply, unsure if her words were being translated or merely her intent. "We come seeking knowledge and peaceful exchange." The alien's body pulsed with what Samantha interpreted as approval. "Come," the voice in her mind said. "Much to show, much to learn." As the team followed their alien hosts deeper into the structure, Samantha's mind raced with questions. How long had this civilization been here? Were they native to Europa or visitors like humanity? And most pressingly, what did this mean for Earth and its people? The corridor opened into a vast chamber, its walls lined with what looked like stasis pods. Inside each, Samantha could see more of the alien creatures, suspended in some kind of liquid. "Sleepers," the alien voice explained. "Awaiting the right time." "The right time for what?" Rajiv asked, his scientific curiosity overcoming his awe. The alien's response sent a chill down Samantha's spine. "For the great journey. For the awakening." As they moved deeper into the alien city, each revelation spawning a dozen new questions, Samantha Chen realized that they stood at a crossroads of cosmic proportions. The decisions and discoveries made here, beneath the ice of a distant moon, would shape the future of not one, but two civilizations. And as the weight of that responsibility settled on her shoulders, she couldn't help but wonder, were they truly ready for what lay ahead? Awakening the sleepers. Dr. Samantha Chen stood before a massive holographic display, her mind reeling from the information being presented. The alien city, which they had learned was called Lumina in the closest approximation their translators could manage, was a marvel of biotechnology that defied human understanding. "So let me get this straight," Captain Miguel Ortiz said, his voice tinged with disbelief. "These Luminians have been here for over 1,000,000 years, waiting for the right conditions to—" What exactly? The alien they had come to know as the Chief Arbiter, a title that seemed to combine elements of scientist, leader, and philosopher, pulsed with patterns that their neural interfaces translated into words. "To seed the stars," came the reply, more a feeling than a sound. "Our kind. Spread across the cosmos. Prepare for the great confluence." Dr. Rajiv Patel frowned, adjusting his interface. "I'm not sure I'm translating this correctly. Are you saying there are more of your kind out there, on other worlds?" The Chief Arbiter's form shimmered, a gesture they had come to associate with affirmation. "Many worlds, many forms, all awaiting." Samantha's scientific mind raced with the implications. "You're not just a civilization," she breathed. You're a network, a galactic network of what? Colonists, explorers, guardians, the chief arbiter corrected. Watchers. We prepare the way. A chill ran down Samantha's spine. Prepare the way for what? Before the alien could respond, alarms began to blare throughout the chamber. The holographic display flickered, showing a massive disturbance near the Europan ice shell. What's happening? Miguel demanded, years of crisis training kicking in. The chief arbiter's form pulsed rapidly, patterns too complex for their interfaces to fully translate. The awakening begins too soon. Danger to all. Samantha watched in horror as the display showed massive cracks forming in Europa's ice shell. Those fissures, they're going to destabilize the entire moon. We need to evacuate. No time. The chief arbiter's thoughts came urgently. Must awaken the sleepers. Only they can stabilize. The alien led them swiftly through twisting corridors, deeper into the heart of Lumina. They arrived at a vast chamber, filled with thousands of stasis pods, each containing a dormant Luminian. How can we help? Samantha asked, pushing aside her fear and focusing on the crisis at hand. The chief arbiter extended several limbs, interfacing with a central control panel. Your technology, compatible, unexpected, can assist in awakening sequence. Miguel hesitated. Wait, are we sure about this? We don't know what awakening all these aliens might mean for us, for Earth. Samantha met his gaze, understanding his concern but seeing no alternative. We don't have a choice, Miguel. If that ice shell collapses, it's not just Lumina at risk. The entire Jovian system could be affected. Earth could be at risk. With a grim nod, Miguel joined Rajiv at one of the alien consoles. Years of working with advanced technology allowed them to quickly grasp the basics of the Luminian systems, their neural interfaces bridging the gap between human and alien technology. As they worked to initiate the awakening sequence, Samantha couldn't help but marvel at how quickly humanity had adapted to this extraordinary situation. Here they were, millions of miles from Earth, working alongside an ancient alien species to prevent a catastrophe. It was simultaneously terrifying and exhilarating. The first of the stasis pods began to open, a viscous fluid draining away as dormant Luminians stirred to life. The awakened aliens immediately joined in the efforts, their bioluminescent patterns a flurry of activity as they communicated and coordinated. It's working, Rajiv called out, his eyes fixed on a display showing the ice shell. The fissures are starting to stabilize. Whatever they're doing, it's having an effect. But their relief was short-lived. As more Luminians awakened, a commotion broke out near the far end of the chamber. Samantha turned to see a group of newly awakened aliens confronting the chief arbiter, their patterns aggressive and chaotic. What's going on? She asked, moving closer despite Miguel's warning gesture. The chief arbiter's thoughts came in fragments, distressed. Disagreement, old conflict. Some believe, humans threat. One of the aggressive Luminians turned towards Samantha, its form pulsing with what she could only interpret as hostility. In her mind, she heard a voice filled with suspicion and fear. Warmworlders, not part of the plan. Danger to the great confluence. Must be contained. Samantha felt Miguel tense beside her, his hand moving towards his weapon. She placed a restraining hand on his arm, knowing that violence now could doom them all. We are not your enemies, she said firmly, projecting her thoughts as clearly as she could. We're here to help. Look around you. We're working together to save Lumina, to save Europa. The hostile Luminian paused, its patterns shifting as it processed her words. The chief arbiter seized the moment, addressing all the awakened sleepers. Humans. Unexpected, yes, but adaptable. Creative. They have skills we lack. The great confluence evolves. All life connected. For a tense moment, Samantha feared that conflict was inevitable. But then, slowly, the aggressive Luminians began to stand down. The one that had confronted her approached, its hostility fading into a cautious curiosity. "Show us," it communicated. "Show us your worth." With renewed determination, Samantha and her team threw themselves into the work. Hours blended together as humans and Luminians worked side by side, combining their knowledge and technologies in ways neither species had imagined possible. Gradually, the crisis began to abate. The fissures in Europa's ice shell stabilized, reinforced by Luminian biotechnology and human engineering ingenuity. As the immediate danger passed, Samantha found herself standing before the vast holographic display once more, but this time, the image it showed filled her with hope rather than fear. The display showed not just Europa, but the entire solar system and beyond. Points of light indicated other Luminian outposts on distant moons and planets, a network spanning the galaxy. "The Great Confluence," the chief arbiter explained, its thoughts tinged with what Samantha interpreted as pride and excitement, a gathering of all sentient life, preparing for the next stage of cosmic evolution. "And humanity?" Samantha asked, her voice barely a whisper. "What's our role in all this?" The chief arbiter's form shimmered, and Samantha felt a wave of warmth and acceptance wash over her. "Humans, bridge builders. Adapt quickly. Solve problems in new ways. You have earned your place among the stars." As the implications of those words sank in, Samantha Chen realized that this was more than just first contact. It was the dawn of a new era for humanity, an invitation to join something greater than they had ever imagined. But with that invitation came challenges and responsibilities they were only beginning to understand. As she looked at her team, Miguel's cautious optimism, Reg's unbridled excitement, Samantha knew that the real work was just beginning. The journey that had started beneath the ice of Europa would take humanity to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. And whatever awaited them out there among the stars, Samantha was certain of one thing. Humanity would face it with the same spirit of exploration, adaptation, and determination that had brought them to this moment. The Great Confluence was calling, and humanity was ready to answer. Battle for two worlds. The mood aboard the Europa orbital station was tense as Dr. Samantha Chen addressed the hastily assembled team of Earth's top scientists and military officials. Holographic displays flickered around them, showing real-time data from both Europa and Earth. "Ladies and gentlemen," Samantha began, her voice steady despite the weight of the situation. "What you're seeing is not a glitch or a simulation. 36 hours ago, we made first contact with an advanced alien species called the Luminians. In that time, we've learned that humanity is on the brink of joining a galactic community beyond our wildest dreams." She paused, letting the magnitude of that statement sink in before continuing. "But we've also learned that we face a threat greater than anything in human history." Captain Miguel Ortiz stepped forward, gesturing to one of the displays. "This is a live feed from lunar orbit. Those objects you see approaching, they're not asteroids." The assembled group watched in stunned silence as the feed showed massive organic-looking structures decelerating as they entered the Earth-Moon system. Dr. Rajiv Patel, looking haggard from days without sleep, explained, "We're calling them harvesters. According to the Luminians, they're an ancient, automated system designed to, well, to reset planetary biospheres." "Reset?" a general in the front row asked, her voice sharp. "You mean destroy?" Samantha nodded grimly. "Essentially, yes. The Luminians believe these harvesters were created eons ago by a now-extinct race. They travel the galaxy, targeting worlds with developed biospheres and reducing them to their basic chemical components." "Why?" someone in the back demanded. "What's the point?" "Resources," Miguel answered. "Raw materials for some cosmic-scale project we can barely comprehend. The point is, Earth is in their path, and we have less than 72 hours before they reach us." The room erupted into a cacophony of questions and demands. Samantha raised her hands, calling for silence. "I know this is overwhelming, But we don't have time for panic. The Luminians have offered their help, but this is our world. We need to take the lead in defending it. As if on cue, a new hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. The Chief Arbiter's alien form shimmered into view, drawing gasps from those who hadn't yet seen a Luminian. "Greetings, leaders of Earth." The aliens' thoughts resonated in their minds. "We offer our knowledge and technology to aid in your defense. But know this, the battle ahead is for more than just your world. The outcome will determine the future of the Great Confluence itself." Over the next several hours, an unprecedented collaboration unfolded. Human scientists and engineers worked alongside Luminian experts, their neural interfaces allowing for rapid exchange of complex ideas. Military strategists from Earth's nations, setting aside old rivalries, coordinated with Luminian tacticians who had faced the Harvesters on other worlds. Samantha found herself at the heart of it all, translating not just language but concepts between the two species. Her ability to bridge the gap between human and Luminian thought processes proved crucial in developing the unified defense strategy. "The key," she explained, standing before a 3D model of the solar system, "is to use the Harvester's own technology against them. The Luminians have developed a way to disrupt their control systems, but we need to get close enough to deploy it." Miguel pointed to a series of points around Earth and the Moon. "We're repositioning our satellite networks and space stations to create a web of defensive platforms. But our conventional weapons won't do much against these things. We need something more." Rajiv, who had been deep in discussion with a group of Luminian scientists, spoke up. "I think we have it. We're calling it Project Sunforge. Using Luminian biotechnology and our own fusion research, we can create artificial solar flares targeted at the Harvesters." The next 2 days were a blur of feverish activity. As the Harvesters drew closer, Earth's unified space fleet, bolstered by Luminian ships that had answered the call for aid, took up defensive positions. On the ground, populations were moved to shelters, and the world held its breath. Samantha found herself aboard the flagship of the Human-Luminian Coalition, a massive vessel that blended the best of both species' technologies. As the final hours ticked down, she stood on the bridge beside Miguel, Rajiv, and the Chief Arbiter. "All Sunforge platforms report ready," Miguel announced, his voice tense. "Earth defense grid is online. Luminian fleet is in position." The Chief Arbiter's form pulsed with a pattern that Samantha had come to recognize as determination. "The Great Confluence stands with Earth. Together, we will face this threat." As the Harvesters entered range, Samantha felt a moment of profound clarity. This was humanity's trial by fire, their chance to prove they belonged among the stars. "Commence Operation Starbreak," she ordered, her voice carrying across all channels, to every human and Luminian ship and station. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. The Harvesters, massive and implacable, advanced on Earth with single-minded purpose, but they met a resistance unlike any they had encountered in their eons-long journey. Artificial solar flares lashed out from the Sunforge platforms, their energies guided by Luminian technology to strike with pinpoint accuracy. Earth's defensive grid came alive, a web of energy and matter that bent space itself to redirect the Harvesters' attacks. Human pilots, their crafts enhanced with Luminian biotech, danced between the massive Harvesters, deploying disruptors and drawing fire away from the planet. Luminian ships moved with impossible grace, their organic hulls adapting in real time to the battlefield conditions. But the Harvesters were relentless. For every one they managed to disable, 2 more seemed to take its place. Earth's defenses began to buckle under the assault, and Samantha watched with growing dread as gaps began to appear in their lines. "We need something more," she muttered, her mind racing. "There has to be a way to." And then it hit her, a crazy, desperate idea, but one that just might work. "Chief Arbiter," she called out, "the Harvesters, they're connected, right? Like a network?" The alien's form shimmered in affirmation. "Yes, they share a collective intelligence." Samantha's eyes lit up. Then that's our way in. Rajiv, remember the data burst the Luminians sent us when we first made contact? The one that overloaded our systems. Rajiv's eyes widened as he caught on. You want to send a data overload to the entire Harvester network? Sam, the amount of energy required to do that on this scale would be massive, she finished. But we have massive. We have a star. The plan came together in a flurry of activity. As the battle raged around them, human and Luminian scientists worked to reconfigure the Sunforge platforms. They weren't just going to create solar flares now. They were going to channel the sun's energy into a single coherent burst of data. It's ready, Rajiv announced, his voice filled with equal parts excitement and fear. But Samantha, whoever activates this, the neural feedback, she understood. Interfacing with that much raw data could fry a human brain. But there was no other choice. I'll do it, she said, moving towards the interface station. Miguel caught her arm. Sam, no, there has to be another way. She smiled at him, a mixture of sadness and determination in her eyes. This is our shot, Miguel. For Earth, for the Luminians, for the whole damn galaxy. Someone has to take it. Before anyone could stop her, Samantha connected herself to the interface. The universe seemed to explode behind her eyes as the full power of the sun, channeled through Luminian technology and human ingenuity, poured through her mind and out into space. For a moment that stretched into eternity, Samantha Chen became one with the stars themselves. She felt the vastness of the cosmos, the intricate web of the great confluence, and the cold, alien presence of the Harvester network. And into that network, she poured everything. Not just data, but emotion. The fear and determination of humanity facing extinction. The ancient wisdom and hope of the Luminians. The raw, primal power of a star unleashed. Across the battlefield, the Harvesters began to falter. One by one, then in waves, the massive structures went dark, overwhelmed by the cosmic data burst. As the last Harvester fell silent, Samantha collapsed, her mind reeling from the immense neural feedback. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the awe-struck faces of her human and Luminian companions, silhouetted against the view of Earth, battered but unbroken. In that moment, as the combined fleet erupted in cheers and bioluminescent celebrations, Samantha knew that humanity had not just survived its trial by fire. It had forged a new destiny among the stars, a new era of cooperation. The observation deck of the newly constructed Harmony Station hummed with activity as representatives from Earth and various Luminian enclaves gathered for a historic occasion. The station, a marvel of human and Luminian engineering, hung in space between Earth and the Moon, a shining symbol of interspecies cooperation. Dr. Samantha Chen stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows, her gaze alternating between the blue marble of Earth and the starfield beyond. The events of the past year had left their mark on her. A streak of white ran through her dark hair, and her eyes held a depth that spoke of experiences beyond human ken. "Penny for your thoughts, Doc," Captain Miguel Ortiz asked, joining her at the window. Samantha smiled, the expression warming her otherwise serious features. "Just thinking about how far we've come, Miguel. A year ago, we were alone in the universe. Now, look at us." Miguel nodded, his eyes scanning the diverse crowd behind them. Human diplomats mingled with Luminian representatives, their neural interfaces allowing for seamless communication. In one corner, Dr. Rajiv Patel was engaged in an animated discussion with a group of Luminian scientists, holograms of complex equations floating between them. "It's something, all right," Miguel agreed. "Though I still can't quite believe you're up and walking after that stunt you pulled with the sun." Samantha's hand unconsciously went to her temple, where a small bioluminescent implant pulsed gently. Luminian medical technology, coupled with some good old-fashioned human stubbornness. "The doctors say I'll make a full recovery, eventually." Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime, signaling the start of the ceremony. The assembled crowd fell silent as the chief arbiter glided to the center of the room, its form shimmering with patterns of welcome and solemnity. Gathered beings, the Luminians' thoughts resonated through the neural interfaces. We stand at a turning point in galactic history. The battle against the Harvesters was more than a fight for survival. It was a testament to the power of cooperation, of different species coming together in the face of a common threat. Samantha stepped forward, taking her place beside the chief arbiter. What we achieved in those desperate hours was just the beginning, she added, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. In the past year, we've seen advancements in science, medicine, and technology that would have taken decades or even centuries on our own. She gestured to the window, where Earth hung serenely against the backdrop of space. But more than that, we've gained a new perspective. We've learned that we're part of something greater, a cosmic community that spans the galaxy. The chief arbiter's form pulsed in agreement. The great confluence evolves. Humanity's ingenuity, adaptability, and determination have added new strength to our galactic network. Together, we face a future filled with both challenge and promise. A holographic display sprang to life in the center of the room, showing a map of the Milky Way. Points of light represented known Luminian enclaves, with Earth shining brightly among them. Today, Samantha continued, we formalized the alliance between Earth and the Luminian Concord. But this is more than a political or military agreement. It's a commitment to a shared future, to exploring the cosmos and facing its mysteries together. As she spoke, new lines appeared on the galactic map, connecting Earth to the Luminian network. Other points of light, representing the handful of other species that had been contacted in the wake of the Harvester battle, also joined the growing web. The chief arbiter raised several limbs in a gesture of unity. Let this mark the beginning of a new era, the era of the galactic concordat. A cheer went up from the assembled crowd, a mixture of human voices and Luminian bioluminescent pulses. As the formal ceremony concluded and the gathering broke into celebratory groups, Samantha found herself approached by a young ensign, her eyes wide with barely contained excitement. "Dr. Chen," the ensign said, snapping a crisp salute, "I just wanted to say, you're the reason I joined the Concordat Exploration Corps. Your actions saved us all." Samantha felt a mix of pride and humility wash over her. "We all played our part, Ensign, and the real work is just beginning. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting for us to explore." As the ensign moved away, Samantha turned back to the window, her gaze drawn to the stars. The neural implant at her temple pulsed gently, and for a moment, she felt an echo of that cosmic connection she had experienced during the battle. The vast web of the great confluence, humming with potential. Miguel joined her again, following her gaze. "So, Doc," he said with a grin, "where to next?" Samantha smiled, a spark of adventure lighting up her eyes. "Everywhere, Miguel. We've got a galaxy to explore, mysteries to unravel, and who knows how many new species to meet." She placed her hand against the cool glass of the window, feeling the thrum of the station beneath her palm. Humanity's next great journey is just beginning. And this time, we're not going alone. As if in response to her words, a Luminian ship gracefully glided into view, its bioluminescent hull shimmering against the starfield. Beyond it, Samantha could just make out the skeletal framework of Earth's first true interstellar vessel, a project that combined the best of human and Luminian technology. The sight filled her with a sense of boundless possibility. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger, not just surviving but finding their place in a grand cosmic community. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever wonders waited to be discovered, humanity would face them with the same spirit that had brought them to this moment. As the celebration continued behind her, Samantha Chen looked to the stars with hope and determination. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and humanity was ready to take its place among them. The era of the galactic concordat had begun, and the greatest adventure in human history was just getting started.